All right, so we're about 12:08. We have 4 members, so we have an official quorum. If we want to get the meeting started. Take and roll here. So I have Jay Murphy, Todd Pousley, we have Jack Finnerty and Jane Rizzi as commission members present.
Yep, we're here.
We have 4. We have a quorum. Jay, you want to be acting chairman until we
So we can vote on one? Yeah, okay, I'll
vote
be the
on-
acting chairman, yeah. We don't do any other for, just gonna go right to the first thing on the agenda,
Sure.
like the old business. So we're probably gonna do the review of the final land development by Maze Brands LLC to develop 4,920 square feet, major convenience store, Dunkin' Donuts and 5 fuel pumps at 1200 North Kaiser Avenue, Kaiser and Loop. Are the people here for that? The representatives?
Yeah, one of their engineers is on with us. I will,
Oh, that's Mr. Berger? Okay.
Yep.
I'll try
Alright.
and share my screen here. So,
I can see, we can all see, I think, Mr. Berger. Oh, you want to put the map on?
yeah.
All right. All right, it's on.
Okay.
Don.
Let me see.
So Don, do you want to preface what, I mean, however you want to start, I'm happy to discuss the thoughts.
I'll just go through it real quick. I mean, this has been on our books probably for about a year now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, one issue is you've had some issues with PennDOT and we're trying to work through them. And, that's where we are. If you want to kind of bring the commission members up to speed.
Sure. So we at the same time we had submitted to the Planning Commission, we had submitted to the county or Lackawanna County Conservation District. We actually went through the approval with Tim on the layout that's sitting here. PennDOT's first run at this brought up a lot of questions, specifically, obviously the traffic out onto Kaiser Avenue and even more specifically, their concern was the truck traffic out onto Kaiser Avenue, it really on and off Kaiser Avenue. So the suggestion by PennDOT, both traffic and the HOP was to consider keeping the trucks or restricting the trucks access directly to Kaiser off the lot, continuing to use Loop Road and or the north-south road to direct traffic and trucks specifically. They were really asking for one entrance in the front. So this revised plan doesn't change too much, moves a couple things, parking, but primarily what it does is it takes the diesel island and it puts it in the rear of the property. The difficulty or the concern would be that the traffic, if the trucks were able to come in up north-south road, it's two-way on the other side of Loop Road. And then it's one-way starting at Loop Road and heading out to Kaiser. So the request of really us on behalf of the client was to consider making a small section of north-south road really just in front of the rear of the property here, two-way to allow the trucks, if they did fuel up at the diesel island in the rear, to go back out to Loop Road to be able to get onto Kaiser and or continue up north-south road from there on to get onto Kaiser heading north. So that where I'm at right now is the customer, the client, if you will, of mine, is saying that they can't make the mini mart work without the diesel island in their mind. So they are determined to try to keep the diesel island. And the Duncan component of this is teamed with them currently on this project. Doesn't have the right to put up a Duncan on his own at this point. And since PennDOT wasn't allowing us to put the truck traffic out onto Kaiser directly onto the lot, or I should say strongly encouraging it, they were saying that there would be massive highway improvements required on Kaiser if not to be considered. This was an option that we thought might allow us to continue the project. So I know it's a little bit of a change, but from our standpoint, it would allow them to service to have the diesel island and allow it to be serviced. And you can see that we're cutting off the truck traffic from the rest of the lot, so the trucks would not be able to go through the lot and out onto Kaiser. The request of PennDOT was a left turning analysis off of Kaiser into the lot. But their primary concern was to be able to have a single point of access curbing the rest of the lot. They even asked us to get rid of the right turn in only lane that we originally had coming off of Kaiser heading north. So this is their preferred entrance. I'm reviewing the sheets in another community, and PennDOT did the same thing to them. So I'm at least encouraged that they requested a single entrance, and it wasn't just this project, but that was the request. So I had discussed it with Carl and I from my office discussed it with Don and John a little bit, and we wanted to bring it to you guys to see what your thoughts were, because we realized it would take city council action to allow us to consider that. The other thing that we discussed with them on site, we met them there to discuss this a little bit. We said that if we can improve the shoulder on the side of the new facility here, we could probably lessen the impact of the truck traffic coming, going out if they were going back to Loop Road to make a left. And they were willing to improve that shoulder. And what I mean by that really is probably pave that shoulder so that we could allow the trucks to get over and into the diesel island a little bit easier. And the same coming out of the diesel island to be able to make the turn to go back over to Loop Road. So that's my spiel. I'll stop there. I'll certainly answer anything I can, but that's really what we're looking at.
Brett, this is John.
Yep.
Yeah, John, tell them what you're thinking.
This is not the plan we reviewed out in the field, is it?
It's the plan. No, I think what Don pulled up was one of the accesses showing the truck turning radiuses. We have one for all the movements, but I'm also working on, as we discussed that day, I'm working on getting a colored plan that would show those improvements more clearly on North-South Road. So we're working on that now. Unfortunately, Carl needed this surgery, so I have to get the plan. I have to get the guys to get the plan finished. Carl was working on it, but then ended up being able to get in to get surgery. He wasn't sure if he was going to, but he was able to get it done yesterday, actually. So.
Okay, so that'll show what we talked
Right,
about.
Exactly. That'll show the movements and the
how the
improvements.
truck can make, like, actually go in, make a left into the pumps, continue back around, and then go up Loop Road if need be, back out to Kaiser Avenue.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. I'm working on that now, John.
Okay, and just to give the commission an update, before pre-COVID, back in January 15, 2020, we gave Brett and his team a comment letter. Now, how many of these are still in effect? Probably a lot of them, but a lot of them will be kind of revised with the new PennDOT requirements. So, when we get a revised set in, you guys can work with our office to check your way through these, right?
Yep, correct. We've looked at them, and like you said, John, a lot of them are affected. We even talked to Tim Matichak from the Conservation District and told him that some of the things I mean, he gave us approval on that other plan, but we told him that some of that was going to be affected by this change. So until we
Okay.
have that approved, we wouldn't send it in.
Okay,
So that's what we're working on now, and my plan is to get that done and send that into Don. So we have that with our, with a request letter, with a formal request letter.
yeah, because we will need something to go to city council with. We're not objecting to it, but, we need to make sure that it's not going to cause a traffic issue there, which I don't believe it will, the way you're going to have it laid out, that the trucks won't encroaching on the other lane.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, so, I mean, at this point, we don't need any action on this. So this is really just to bring the
Bring
commission
up to speed?
where we
Yep.
were with it.
Okay, so we're not going to do any motions or anything on this particular one, right?
No. not
Yes,
at-
thank you.
But thanks for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. All right, should we move on to the new business?
Brett, too,
Go
I
ahead.
just want one
Okay.
more comment
Oh.
on this, Jay,
Go ahead.
Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman.
John.
This plan will need a lot consolidation plan too. We did talk to them. I don't believe they submitted one yet. So in the new submission, they're gonna have to do a lot consolidation plan because the parcels, the land they're buying and gonna build on is a different deed.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry about that.
Grandson's a little, time for a nap. Go ahead, John.
No, that basically, a lot consolidation plan is gonna be required with the resubmission.
Yep.
With the previous project, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, I'm talking under the May Brands project, so
Yeah, okay,
everybody's
good.
aware of it.
Right, all right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
we'll
you,
go to number one under new business. The review of a minor subdivision plan for the subdivision of 3 parcels, 6 acres of the lands of David and Nicole Lenore, is that right? To adjoining properties in the 15, 16, and 1700 blocks of Cherry Street, an R1 zone. You're up there, you can, is it gonna, John, or you or Don want to talk about it, or do you want the owner to talk about his project?
Well, I think we'll let Mr. Parker give the commission
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
what his client is planning, and then Don and I can pitch in at the end with our comments, okay?
All right.
Are you putting this one up on the screen, Don, or not?
Yep, I'm working on that.
Donnie, I think Bill King has also joined us. We have another commission
he did.
member.
Yep. Hi, Bill.
Is it okay to go ahead?
Yes,
Yeah, could
Here you go, George.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Leonore have undeveloped property, as was just explained to you, to the southwest of Cherry Street as it is now. Cherry Street is a developed street in this area. The property owners that you see along Cherry Street are properties with residential dwellings already on them. The properties that we have outlined and located to the rear of those properties are owned by David and Nicole Leonore. They are presenting this plan to try to get approval to divide the property up into lots that would be directly behind the properties that are already developed on Cherry Street. The properties would be separated, however, by an undeveloped alley. And when you look into the statement of purpose, the stipulation would be that persons who live on Cherry Street could purchase these parcels, lots 2, 3, and 4, and own them. However, if they do that, they cannot sell the properties separately afterward. They would have, if they sold the residence along Cherry Street, they would have to sell the lot behind it to the same person. The statement of purpose gets into all of that language. If you see the statement of purpose down near the bottom right corner of the sheet where I'm roughly where my seal is at. That would be the requirement. What is labeled as lot number 1 potentially would end up the same way, being purchased by persons who live on Cherry Street to get the land behind them. They would never be allowed to block the alley, the undeveloped alley, but they would still own the land on the other side of it.
So are these going to be building lots or are these just strips of land?
No, they're not building lots. They're just.
In other words, it's just land that's not, it can't be built on, but it's land to own.
Land to own.
Yeah.
So George, I actually live in this neighborhood, up on the top. So basically, I think what Dave and Nicole are looking to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're looking to allow like the Robertos or the Martins to be able to purchase that land directly behind their homes, so that in essence, they would secure that there would never be any building directly behind, because it's all woods back there presently.
Right.
It is all wood. There are no utilities. There's nothing back there, nothing in the form of any development back there.
So you're just really selling everybody an adjacent parcel to their property,
Well,
pretty much.
a little bit indirectly adjacent. Again, it's
Yeah.
separated by the alley. Yeah.
Right.
Here's the question. Now, the top part, or maybe it's the lower part, I don't know, it's kind of small.
It's the lower part, I think is what we're talking about.
Okay, like lot 1. Lot 1 isn't subdivided amongst those 3 properties up there. So what are they looking for to divide that in 3 also?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah.
But right now, it would be called the residual property. The resident, Nicole and David would still own it. But if, for example, this proposed plan gets reviewed, the next property owners going up the street may want to do the same thing.
Are there any restrictions on what can be done on lot 1 by the present owners?
There is, in the sense that if you look just below it, you see the undeveloped street. You couldn't sell that as a property separately unless a street was put in there.
Okay,
And that would have to go all the way to the west to connect to a street. This, by the way, is the area that you're looking at right now is the 1600 block. And the next adjoining street to the west would be, you'd have to go through the 1500 block also to get to it.
so with the proposed restrictions on lots 2, 3, and 4, they essentially remain green space?
Yes,
I think Dave Leonori's on here. Dave, I'm just trying to look at this plan. Is your house, as we look at the screen, down in the bottom left? Or are you down in the, okay, you're in the bottom left, and your road right now just kind of dead ends into your property, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay, so where I'm watching this undeveloped street, that would be if someone ran a road right up alongside your property, and that would be the backside of all those pieces of those lots that you're looking to.
Correct. Yeah, that would be
Cells,
an
so-
extension of Fig Street.
Have you had a discussion with any of those property owners? Have they expressed interest in acquiring that land?
Yeah, everyone has expressed interest. That's why we're doing it.
Oh, okay. They all want it. Okay.
Yeah, they want to
So,
protect it.
as we,
Go ahead.
okay, and I don't blame them.
to help answer
Dave,
the question.
as I look up this is kind of small.
Yeah, no,
Where
it's hard to
lot-
really,
it's hard- Right. So as I'm looking, lot 2, I think, let's see.
To help answer the question you just asked, when David said about the extension of Fig Street, if you look up in the top right corner of the drawing, you'll see Fig Street. And then the shaded area is the block we're in now, that we're talking about in this plan. So you'd have to go all the way up Fig Street and then another block to get to this, to develop a street.
Right. So, are we just talking about lot 1 or are we talking about all those other lots as well?
Right now, we're talking about just these three,
This lots 2, 3, and 4
correct?
2, 3, and 4. Okay, I got
on the
you.
bottom there.
And who,
Bill.
and whose homes are they directly behind? Is it like, it should be Ross, probably Martin, and then
It's Ross Martin, and Roberto.
Berto. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
And those are printed, I know they're hard to read. They're.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to see it, but that's what I figured.
I exploded them, prior to this meeting, but I just was trying to get a grasp. Okay.
To give you a reference, if you look at Ross, and you see where the north arrow is,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, that's where the detention pond is.
Gotcha.
Oh, way up on top of East Mountain. Oh, okay.
If that helps you focus.
Yeah, and I'm all the way up in the top. I'm up in the cul-de-sac, up off the top of to the right and left.
Up the hill.
Okay.
Right. John,
Yes.
what today, are we just accepting this or are we reviewing it for a final action or what's the,
This would be for final approval. We have the county's comments back. They recommended approval of it.
they've done everything to meet all those, there's not any exceptions we're gonna vote on?
I don't believe there's any conditions on this.
Any conditions?
One more question. Do like with the Robertos or the Martins, would they have the ability to build on there?
No.
I mean, would it come back to us for them to have the request if they wanted to do that? Like, would they have to come back to planning to develop those lots if someday they become of value and they want to do that?
Well,
Like
if they wanted to build, say, a home on there, then the undeveloped street in
Yeah.
front of the lot or that would have to be opened up either, by them, they would become a developer then. They would have to open up the street and get all the utilities up there.
Right. In other words, they'd have to really put plumbing and everything else, all that kind of stuff in
Yes.
to
And I'm
develop
not
those
saying they're
lots.
looking to do that. I'm sure they just want to maintain, I mean, it's all beautiful woods behind where we live here.
Yeah.
So I'm
No,
sure
no,
they
what I mean is that when they sell that property, they'll be selling, well, then whoever sells their property within those three, as they sell them, they'll have to somehow take title to part of that land because it's all in one piece now. So.
with the exception of the undeveloped alley, right?
Right. So in the future, if either one of these three people decide to sell their home, then the three lots have to be separated somehow, correct? They'd have to come back to planning for that also.
Correct. Because
Right.
if we approve this plan, those
Yeah.
lots 2, 3, and 4 become parts of the lots in front.
Right, but are they gonna be separated so they're gonna still be one piece?
I believe the way the statement on the map is, it makes them part of the front parcel. So if they wanted to sell them off separately, they would have to come back to us again.
Right. Okay, I just want to get that out there, so know what we're voting on.
Yes.
All right.
A general question. The statement of purpose, does that then become?
Just to be clear,
incorporated?
John, could I offer some? Go ahead.
Yeah.
This is John Pocius. I'm referring to note 2 under the statement of purpose, and George is very clear. It says on the subdivided parcels, construction of permanent buildings on these parcels will not be permitted. So that answers your question. They can't build on on lots 2, 3, and 4
All right.
anytime.
Nor can they be sold separately, if I understand this.
Correct? Yep, and basically, lots 2, 3, and 4 intended to be conveyed to the owners of the properties along Cherry Street as shown in this drawing. And basically, they become almost, it's gonna have to be worded in as deed covenants because they're not actually like a lot consolidation plan, but
Right,
in
because
the
like
deed,
response, yeah,
in the deeds, a deed covenant cannot be zoned away or it cannot be planned away. Am I correct, Donnie?
Yes.
So if the deeds, when Mr. Lee and Mrs. Leonori sell these, and it's in the deed that there should be no permanent buildings on these lots, the people buying them and anybody in the future that buys them or buys the front parcel and the back parcel is bound by that deed restriction. A zoning variance can't be given, a planning variance can't be given, an exception or anything like that.
because they have a deed restriction. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yes.
the deed restriction will prohibit them from doing anything in the back.
Yeah.
Now, if, just to give you my comments, I reviewed this in pandemic, where I reviewed this, I gave comments to George. They were minor, some drafting comments. On my behest, he added the third note about lot 2 and 3, and also lot 1 can be subdivided later in the same way, but he'd have to come back to the planning commission. That if people on the other fronting properties on Cherry Street wish to buy the back pieces similar to the first 3, so he'd have to come back for the same type of subdivision. But to express your assurance, it says right here, and we would recommend that be a deed restriction, a deed covenant, that no permanent structures. Now, if they wanted to clear an area and put up, say, a picnic area for their own lot, or a place for their grandkids or kids to play, that'd be fine, right, Don?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Put swings up or something like that, or a little walking path, or make a nice little sitting area back there, or, something like that. But that's not a permanent structure. So I believe they'd be fine. So I really recommend final approval of the map as presented.
As presented? All right.
Yep, as presented. I don't think, Donnie, do you believe we need anything else?
No, I said, I don't believe there's any comments or conditions, so I would recommend the same, that it be given final approval as presented.
All right. Fellow commissioners, I need a motion and a second. Someone want to
This
make a
is
motion?
Jack
I'll make a motion.
Who's that, Jack Finnerty?
Yeah.
Okay,
And Joe, I'm willing to either make the motion if it hasn't been or second it if it has been.
all right. And we need a second.
I'll second.
Bill
Okay.
King, second. All right. Okay, do the roll call, Don.
Okay, Todd,
In favor, aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Bill,
Yes.
and Jay.
Yes.
Okay. Motion.
Okay, you have your project. Good luck.
Well, thank you very much for hearing us out. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for the information.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, George. Thanks.
Okay, the next review of fine land development for the Howard Gardner MI Charter School renovation and additions, 1615 East Elm Street, institutional zone. Who's representing them? Are we just doing a vote or what?
Well, if you have questions, I'm trying to get this up on the screen, so.
Yeah. They just,
Just to give I'll give the commission some background on this. This project has been going on for quite some time. It started pre-COVID, I believe even in 2019. GPI Engineering worked with our office, and we issued on June 26, 2020, a recommendation of final approval with the following conditions, of which there were four.
mhm.
The first two were only the signatures, like always, the owner's signature and the engineer's certifications and seals. Donnie, the other comment was the fire department look at this, that they approve it. And also the trees be approved by Tony Santoli. So there are 4 minor comments. All the technical issues have been addressed. So I don't know how many of those are left. I mean, they're really minor. So that's.
So we're ready to give a final approval to this project?
Yes.
Donnie, you want to pipe? Yeah. You
Don, we
usually
ready?
handle the fire
Yeah.
department, Donnie. Did they get a chance to look at it?
Yeah, I believe I discussed this with the fire department and then they were fine with it.
And the Tony, is Jeff Jerome on? I saw him on before. Did he get a chance to talk to Tony Santoli about the trees and shrubs to be planted?
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yes. So, no, we have tried to get in touch with Tony, through Don's office, but, I mean, the bottom line is whatever Tony requests as far as the planting, the switching out the trees, we don't have an issue with doing that. So,
All right.
I mean, we're basically down. I mean, the first 2 are just that when your final plans come in, that they're signed, sealed, and notarized, Jeff,
right. And I would just say with respect to the trees, what we showed on the plan was based on what was listed in the ordinance now. But like, again, if it's changing out the trees to something else, there's no issue with that.
We only refer to Tony because he'll tell you what will grow, what won't grow. He's the best, so we really like Tony's recommendation. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. So, I mean, all the technical issues, your permits are in hand. And as far as stormwater and everything else. So, I'm looking at your conservation district MPDS coverage. You received that on June 22nd. Donnie, I mean, there's nothing left on this project. I mean, I know it's new to the commission members, but we worked our way through with Jeff's firm and the city engineer and the planner. So like I said, whatever those 4 conditions are left as per our June 26th letter, we still recommend final approval with the condition.
Yeah, Jeff, maybe you just want to tell the planning commission members what you're doing here. This is the old Friendship House property for people that are familiar with the mountain up there.
So, I mean, basically what the project was is it's an addition onto the Howard Gardner School. The main purpose really isn't to increase student enrollment. It's really to relieve overcrowding within the existing building. There were a number of goals that the school gave us with respect to the project. One was to improve the parent drop-off circulation on the site. Right now, it's real tight coming off of Elm Street, and traffic backs up onto Elm. Secondly, we were trying to reduce some of the stormwater runoff that comes from the property. Minimize the amount of trees to the maximum extent we could of tree removal on the site. And then it doesn't show on this plan, but there were 3 dormitory buildings on the lower portion of the site. And most of that lower area was all paved. So yeah, that area right there, correct. So all of that, those buildings get removed. Actually the superstructures have already been removed off of those. They were demoed last year. But the pavement will come out of there and that will become a green space area down there. And then the building itself is a 2-story building. It's 8,000 square feet. You actually, because of the real issue up there is the slope of the site coming off the side of the mountain there, and how to construct that site in order to connect to the existing floor elevation of the existing building and step down the hill. So what actually happens is there's kind of where you see the access road coming in there. The way it's planned is that, yeah, the lower road would be like a 2-lane entrance. This would be one direction. So you have 2 lanes coming in, you come all the way around the building, and then your drop off would be right there. So that gives all of that whole access road coming in as a stacking area for parent drop off.
Good, yeah.
And
That gets people off of East Elm Street.
correct.
Yes.
All right.
And the addition, see where your hand there is. Where's the addition? Is it right up here in the?
That's the addition, right? And then
Is
what you
that
have
where
is-
all those buildings used to be, where they tore down all of the I don't know if they were housing or whatever it
The
was.
dormitories, no, the dormitories were kind of right, yeah, they were on the back, like where that tree line is, they were along the, like the edge of that tree line.
Right. So this is more up the hill, closer
hill.
to the building.
Yeah, there's playground areas right behind the building there now.
Right.
Yeah, so right there where you have the hand, what happens there is there's a bridge so the existing building will bridge over the road there and come in on the second floor of the addition, and then you will drop down to the first floor where the entrance will be. And that'll be the main entrance now, as opposed to where it's at, kind of on the back side of the building now.
So parents will no longer be driving all the way up the top of East Elm and pulling in to the top part of that parking lot to drop off.
Correct. And then, because we're displacing some of the playgrounds, if you kind of pan down to the bottom of the site and get right in there. So we're taking that's all paved area in there now. That area will become a grass playground area also. And then there will be a hard surface playground area on the back portion of the site. Overall, the site actually reduces the amount of impervious area from what exists on the site now, mainly because of removing the dormitories and the parking lot at the bottom of the site. But as a whole, it reduces runoff. But on top of that, we're also doing some stormwater detention also. So it should reduce some of the runoff coming down.
So am I looking at when the cars pull off of East Elm? Before the last project, we were talking about the front of my house. Now we're off the back of my house. The cars are going to pull in. That's all going to have to be paved, and it looks like you added a parking lot there. And I apologize because the first time I'm actually seeing this. I saw the plans for the other one.
Yeah, well, there's just a number of parking stalls there.
That'll be for faculty and staff.
No, faculty and staff will all be behind the building, the existing parking lot now. Faculty and staff will park back there. So
that's visitors and parents.
Yeah, it would be some visitors, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's going to require that that whole loop is going to be paved, and the drop off will be underneath that bridge.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm sure the people on East Elm Street will be thrilled because it's a nightmare right now.
Well, and to be honest with you, we had the school invited the neighbors back in, I guess it was September, October. We invited the neighbors over there, and we did a presentation for the neighbors there at the school of this exact plan. And the two big issues that came up were the parking and the stormwater issue. So hopefully we've alleviated some of both of those.
Good.
Jeff, you don't know how many cars you could queue in there, do you? It looks like a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, if you figured about 20 feet per car, you're talking about 60 cars, which is definitely more than what they can queue up there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, former director Dennis Gallagher and I myself met up with Jeff. Was right at the beginning of COVID, I think, wasn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, just a little bit before. Yeah, it was probably like February, March, right?
It was either first part of March, I think it was, and we went over some ground rules, or not ground rules, but some concerns, and I have to say that everything was worked out to our satisfaction, and they have all their permits in hand. The big one being the conservation MPDS permit with the ENS plan and the post-construction plan too. So you guys did a great job working your way through this, and the city along Derby Avenue also improved and rock lined that ditch ahead of this project. So DPW did a separate project down on Derby. So it's a win-win on the stormwater up there because you've actually reduced the runoff.
All right, Don, do we need a vote on this, correct?
Yeah, we'd be looking for final land development approval here. We could leave the one condition in with Tony Santoli, and we could get that taken care of.
All
So
right,
Donnie, why don't we say, we'll reference in the approval with conditions 1, 2, and 4 of the of the city engineer's June 26, 2020 letter.
1, 2, and 4. Okay.
Because we're saying 3 got taken care of, because there are existing hydrants up there, right, Jeff?
Yes.
And it's not like, it's kind of one of the things it's in the saldo that says you need fire department review and approval, but we're not really extending something where there was no existing hydrants and things like that. So we're in good shape there.
all right, so we need a motion to final approval of the project with the exceptions of 1, 2, and 4.
With conditions
the-
1, 2, and 4. Yep.
Conditions 1, 2, 4 in the letter, previous letter.
Yep.
All right, commissioners, I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Bill King
First.
and a
This is
second.
Todd. This is Todd. I'll second.
Thanks, Todd. Okay,
All right.
okay. Yeah, go ahead, Don.
I'll try and skip around a little bit. Jack,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Jay.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried.
Okay, you got your project there, Jay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jeff. Nice
Thanks,
job.
thanks, Jeff, for the presentation. Hey, so Don, you're gonna talk about the next thing, right? The zoning
Yeah, I'm gonna
ordinance update? Alright.
I'll talk about the next one. Their engineer, Emmett Mancinelli, wasn't available today, but let me try and get their plan up here.
Donnie, why don't you give him a little background on how this all transpired too, like how it went from into a land development?
Okay.
Well, I could start. I could give the commission a
Okay.
little background on this, because Don, you were actually at the meeting. This project is I guess before it was Gold Star Manufacturing, and then it was Giant Floor Building up there. And it was bought by, it's called The Lofts, but the developer is actually Basiliga, who owns the mall. And there was,
Oh, okay, I read the wrong one. Okay, I'm sorry.
building permits issued to start the renovations to convert the existing building into, I'll say apartments, Don, and some commercial.
31 apartments, I believe.
Yep. And I think what triggered the land development was it's in a residential zone. Am I saying this correctly, Donnie? And that's why it needs a land development, because
Because it's being converted into residences. Once you
Okay.
convert a building into more than 4 residences, it becomes a land development.
Okay, so that's why we're here. So
Yeah.
Donnie met on site with the construction people and the owners. I was unavailable for that meeting. And they hired Massinelli and Associates. And we did receive a set of plans. We did receive plans in last October. They were reviewed by our office, and we sent out a rather lengthy review letter, actually 42 comments. And we gave them to the engineer on October 28, 2020. This was in COVID, even though we kind of like to help move these projects along, so we reviewed it regardless of it being before the commission, just like the other projects. The county also gave an approval, Donnie, and I think they withheld an approval basically because of, we brought it to their attention too, that because they're in more than one parcel, they're gonna need a lot consolidation plan too.
Yeah.
And another thing is, we had some concerns with the amount of disturbance there. My reviewer, Chris Stefersky, actually went up and took pictures and explained that the amount of disturbance kicks this into a I imagine it might even be, it might be just same as the other project, an MPDES submission. So,
Yes.
so to bring you up to speed, I got an email from Chris today. Emmett must have got some kind of response in, but because of the time of the year, Chris will be going on vacation. So we're probably going to get a chance to review this until around after the first of the year. But because this was never accepted, maybe what we do today is
Accept it, yeah,
start the process. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So Donnie, you want to give me some more background there? Did I cover it?
Yeah, you covered it. Yeah, I mean, I mean, people would know it as the old Gold Star giant floor building. The developer purchased it, appeared before the zoning board, got zoning approval to convert it into apartments. They've been working on it while we're working our way through this process. Because it's an existing building, there isn't really a whole lot of change. So we're just, trying to make sure that the parking is set up correctly and the stormwater is handled correctly. Mr. Mancinelli did submit a revised set of plans yesterday or today and answers to the review comments. So like you said, Chris hasn't had a chance. I just took a quick look at them. I know Chris answered that he wouldn't be able to take a look at them until after the holiday. But again, it's a good project. It took a building that's been empty and an eyesore for the neighbors for the past few years, and it's going to turn it into some very nice housing.
Okay.
Donnie, is there at least one parking spot for every apartment?
I believe so. I don't recall from the zoning hearing what the parking ratio is. I'm just trying to take a quick look here and try and look at this. But it does look like there's at least one for each unit. And even though we don't count on-street parking for zoning purposes, they have that whole block along Meadow Avenue.
Right.
Their side, it's probably good for another 10 or 15 parking places there.
But I believe the plan had what they got from the zoning, Donnie, because I don't see any.
I don't have that sheet here.
I'm looking at Chris's review letter from last year, and I don't see any reference to the parking not meeting what they were supposed to. Okay.
Yeah, I don't recall if they were short. If they were short, they asked the zoning board for a variance on that also, and they were granted it. So either way, either they meet it or the zoning board gave them approval for a shortened amount. So either way, they kind of took that out of our purview in the land development review.
Yeah, Donnie, of the 42 comments, there was nothing on the parking. So I assume that the plan complies with what the zoning board granted them,
Yes.
This is another project where the city kind of cooperated with the developer. If you want to look at the plan on the southeast corner, which would be Maple and Meadow Avenue, the city added a catch basin and tied into the existing storm. There is an existing storm system that comes over from Harmon Field that was put in by, I believe, the sewer authority way back in the late 60s or 70s. And they were experiencing some water that was getting into the building on that corner. So the city added a basin on that corner, which took care of that problem. So it's another spot where the city is reaching out to help developers with some improvements.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
John, what's on the back side of that building up back? If you go down Maple Street, right there. Yeah. What is that?
I think it's just like kind of a wooded area, kind of like an overgrown area, because the first house is
I would think it was paved and overflow parking.
It was, yeah.
What is that?
I
For,
used to walk by that on my way down to South Scranton Intermediate School.
this plan, they're showing that as a new landscaped area.
Yes.
It's gonna be-
I was
Oh.
looking for the legend, Donnie, to see what the hatching meant. It's gonna be landscape, so whatever it is, it's gonna be like, I don't know if there's a specific plan for it, Donnie, but it's gonna at least be grassed and shrub probably, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
because
like a
there
little
used to be,
greenscape for the project, huh?
there used to
Yep.
be a road that would run, it would connect that back, the parking lot over toward Beach Street, and it would come right through to Maple. So that's no longer going to be the case.
That's correct.
Why don't you tell them, Donnie, about how to build Gold Star, I guess, that alleyway was vacated by a council, wasn't it, Don?
Yeah, back in the, I think it was the early 60s, there was an alleyway that ran through here.
Hmm.
And the city vacated it to allow Gold Star at the time to increase their parking. And there was an open stream bed that ran through here.
Yep.
So they enclosed that and piped it and paved over it to have additional parking for when it was a factory.
Okay.
And the city actually deeded the alleyway over to them. So it's now, there's no alleyway there now, no public alley, and it's private property, part of the project.
That would be between Beach and Maple.
Yes.
So is the entrance for these people that are going to be living in this building, the entrance will be off of the parking lot, or the main doors
Yeah.
for Gold
there's an
Star were
entrance
always on
here,
Meadow?
But the main entrance is going to be in here. And
Can you see the sidewalk with the landscaping? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I think the only new addition to the building is going to be a little entranceway like right here.
Right where your hand is right now,
Yes.
back when I was a kid, a truck was coming down 81 South, jackknifed and went right through the building right there.
Come right
Got a
off
little bit of
81,
history
Bill?
here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, I grew up right there. I hung out in the Gold Star parking lot.
Yeah. The pedestrian bridge was near this spot somewhere that went over 81.
Maple.
that's
Maple
That's how we
Street.
used to get to school. We didn't have any buses.
Yeah, it's true.
That's how
Yeah,
I got
Donnie,
to be a
that was,
good, John, that's how I got to be a good hill runner, coming up Maple and up over the bridge.
yeah, you were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pedestrian bridge was actually on the extension of Maple Street so it was over where Maple Street is. And I
Mhm.
guess it was taken down in future projects because I guess there was no need for it anymore and it was needed repair or replacement and it was taken down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Long
added
guy.
busing for intermediate schools in Scranton, so anyone that was a mile and a half or more, that's how they got the busing.
Yeah, This
Okay, so-
property was originally developed by the Alprins. I'm sure they were very big in the garment industry in Scranton. They
Yeah.
had numerous factories, pants and dress factories around. And I think, Donnie, they were the ones on the original request to get that alley vacated. Wasn't it the Alprins?
Yes, correct.
So Donnie, we don't vote on this one. We're just accepting it, correct?
Yeah, we can make a motion to accept. Just to-
Officially accept it, yeah, because.
Oh, you want a motion? Okay.
I think we should do it by motion, Donnie, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, okay, Commissioners, we need a motion and a second to accept this project by the Planning Commission. So someone make a motion.
Okay, Jane will have
I'll make a motion, sure.
I'll
Okay,
second
motion.
it.
Bill.
Billy seconded. Okay, good.
Okay. So. Jack,
Yeah,
Todd,
Aye.
Bill,
Yep.
Jane,
Yes,
and Jay.
Yes.
Okay, motion to accept the plan for review has been approved.
Okay, Don, you going to discuss the ordinance, the zoning ordinance update?
Yeah, I just.
That's what I thought, right? I missed the
I'll
other
be-
one a little bit.
I'll be-
Donnie, just give me the floor for 1 second. What we'll try to do is get the new plans reviewed, and maybe we can have a January meeting, Donnie, in the same format and see where we're at with it then, if need be.
Yeah. Okay.
So we will get a review for the next planning commission meeting on the revised plans. So
Okay, good.
We'll be able to get them to Donnie and he'll email, and you get to see what our comments look like. He'll be able to email you out the comments, okay?
All right.
For the
So,
newer members too, so you
yeah.
see what the process involves.
So we're gonna wrap this up then? Are we, is that it? Anything else, Donnie?
Yeah, well, I'll give you a brief discussion. I sent you a link if you want to download the zoning ordinance. I said, I told Jane I'd mail out a copy, and anybody else who would like a hard copy of it. We're part of the SAPA. We have 9 municipalities we're all doing our zoning ordinances over at the same time. We'd hope to get these adopted early next year. There's still a couple sections in the ordinance as you'll go through it. I believe the sign section and the parking section are still listed as being worked on. So, as they become available, we'll get them out to you. This is our first new zoning ordinance since 1993. Because we're doing this as a multi-municipal plan, our ordinance, along with the other 9 municipalities, the ordinances will all be set up the same way. They won't necessarily be exactly the same, but if you pick up our ordinance or you want to go to Clark Summit, pick up their ordinance, the definitions are going to be in the same section. The procedures will be in the same section. So you'll be able to pick up any of our ordinances and be able to find what you're looking for in the same sections. Now, of course, the specifics will all be a little different, lot sizes and things like that. But, we're trying to uses that weren't around in the early 90s, windmills and short-term rentals or Airbnbs or things that didn't exist then. Cell tower technology has changed immensely since that time. So we're trying to bring everything up to speed in the new ordinance with those types of uses. So yeah, anybody, if you get a chance, take a look at it. If you have any comments on it, you could let me know, or we could bring it up at a meeting. I do expect to have our consultant as a environmental planning and design out of Pittsburgh. I expect to have a meeting with them and the commission members. More than likely, we'll be doing it virtually like this meeting. I don't think we're going to be able to get back in for an in-person meeting for a little while.
Okay.
I'd hope to be able to do it this time, but now with indoor gatherings are limited to 10 persons, it doesn't leave much room.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, hopefully we'll be getting that wrapped up for early next year.
Okay, so that's it. We're ready to call a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, unless any of the commission members has anything else they want to bring up. Hopefully, maybe for the next meeting, we'll have a reorganization listed so we could officially get all the officers signed up for the commission.
Donnie, I'd just like to say one thing. I want to just give Donnie a pat on the back. He was the point person on the SAPA for the whole time this has been going on. And as y'all know, it's had a long and storied past in history, but once it got resurrected with the recovery plan and things like that, it could be a big boom for Scranton because of the participating municipalities. Some don't want the development such as larger scale manufacturing or things like that. So Scranton is set up for that. So hopefully it'll push development into the Scranton area, Donnie, right? Into Scranton proper.
Yeah,
Correct, yeah.
The largest benefit of working as a multi-municipal group is that typically in Pennsylvania, every municipality has to allow for every legitimate use somewhere in the city. But by joining together, we could spread that out between the 9 municipalities. So we don't necessarily have to zone for an airport if there's an airport taken care of somewhere else. And the flip side of that is areas that want to stay more rural can limit their development also. The areas in the city were designated as growth areas. So, we're looking for infill development. We have a city that infrastructure that's set up for 140,000 people. Now we have about 75,000 people. So hopefully these ordinances and the comprehensive plan that came out of the SAPA group will funnel some of the development into the city and out of some of the undeveloped areas outside of the city.
Don, is the ultimate goal to have some kind of consolidated zoning ordinance that would apply across all of the participating communities?
No. One of the things that came up right from the beginning was all the municipalities, when they agreed to work together, was they wanted to keep some autonomy when it came to zoning. So
Welcome to Northeast Pennsylvania.
yeah.
Got it.
So we each have our own zoning ordinance. We'll have our own zoning board. So in that way, people felt that was what they wanted to do to control their own destiny. But we do have a consolidated comprehensive plan that we have all signed on to. And as part of it, we'll be doing a multi-municipal agreement where we agree to certain uses.
In each zone, yeah.
Yeah. And certain uses that affect more than just one, say a factory with 1,500 people, that the group will get to take a look at that too, and not just the municipality where it's going to go. So I forget what the term was, uses that have a significant effect on the whole area.
Impact uses or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to say thank you. I think we're all better off when there's a few more minds and areas looking. So thank you, Don. I've been reading about it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
What's that group called? Can you give me the initials? The SAP?
SAPA, Scranton, Abington's Planning Association.
Okay, thank you.
And
As you commissioners will see, there is a lot going on in Scranton. There are a lot of projects that, and when we get a land development, it's usually a big one. One of the more recent ones was the Wright Center down on South Washington Avenue. Drive by there every day. There must be hundreds of cars in that parking lot down there for that health center down there. When we get them, they're rather large, the large land developments. So things are happening, and it's a good thing. And I think you're going to enjoy your time on the Planning Commission. So I wish all the best on your new appointments. Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, a motion to adjourn, right?
Yeah.
So
I'll
moved.
move.
Okay. Thanks
Yep.
for seeing all you.
Yep.
Take
Thank you.
care. Have a nice holiday.
Nice holiday.
Happy
See you
holidays.
next year.
Bye-bye. Merry Christmas,
Holiday,
everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Stay well.
I like your background, Bill.